Okay, here we go. What's today? 17th, 9/17. And this will be a study guide review. Okay, first problem I want to go over. What is the slope of the line? You'll have 3 problems on your study guide. You're asked to find the slope of the line, and you're given the point. You got a 2, 7. And you got a 1, 3. And you're asked to find the slope of the line. So look, slope, it's in your notes. Slope is equal to your y sub 2 minus your y sub 1. So it's the 3 minus the 7 divided by your x sub 2 minus your x sub 1. So 1 minus 2. All right, and 3 minus 7 is negative 4. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then simplify this negative divided by a negative. All right, that's a positive, and negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. So there's your slope of the line. Everybody okay with that? Okay, very good. You've got a couple of questions that ask you write an equation in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So here's the given information. They tell you that m is equal to 1/2, and they give you a point. They tell you the y-intercept is at 0, negative 2. So your equation of this line is that y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. If this y-intercept, if this x value right here is 0, then whatever this is goes right here. Just make sure that that x is 0. Come on, baby. Everybody good with that? Then you are going to have a couple of questions that ask you to write the equation slope-intercept form. What are the slope and the y-intercept? So again, same directions, except they're asking you to list the slope and the y-intercept, but they're giving you the line in standard form. So I think we talked about this yesterday. If you're given 3/4 x plus 4/5, check that. It's not 4/5. It's 1/5. Y is equal to I don't know, let's say it's equal to 20. If they want it in slope-intercept form, remember, we got to make it look like this. You got to make it y equals mx plus b. So first thing you got to do is move this 3/4 x to the other side. So if you subtract 3/4 x from each side, your 1/5 y equals negative 3/4 x plus the 20. Whatever's with your x needs to be next to the equal sign. So when you subtract your 3/4 x, you're just going to move it in there next to the equal sign. All right, so we got to get the y by itself, so we're going to divide everything by 1/5. Everything by 1/5. And hopefully you've got a calculator. These 1/5s cancel. So y is equal to, if you don't know how to type fractions in your calculator, let me know. We're going to go 3/4 negative divided by 1/5. That is negative 3 3/4. X plus. Now, this negative 3 3/4 x, does anybody have that in their calculator?
Yes.
What you want to do, you don't want to leave your slope as a mixed number. All right? You want it as a regular fraction or an improper fraction or a whole number. So in your calculator right now, while that's still sitting in there, you can push the green button and then push the fraction button again. And it'll convert it to negative 15/4. And that's in better, that's what your multiple choice answer would look like. It's not going to be a mixed number. And then you're going to take 20 and you're going to divide it by 1/5. And you get 100. So there's your equation in slope-intercept form. Your slope is equal to negative 15/4. And your y-intercept, or your b, is equal to 100. Yeah, you sleeping? I think you're snoring a little bit, buddy. Hang in there. It's almost over. So you good there? Any questions? All right, next, you're asked, what is the graph of the equation? So let's see. What is the graph of the equation? Yeah, there we go. So you're given an equation in standard form, and it is something like negative 2x plus 4y equals 8. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put this thing in slope-intercept form, because the graphs that you have to choose from have specific points where they hit the y-axis. You know what? Actually, the other thing you can do you remember yesterday when we found the x-intercept and the y-intercept? When I showed you how to do that? That would be easier to do right here. If you're given an equation in standard form and you're asked what is the graph of the equation, if you find the x-intercept and you find the y-intercept and you plot them and connect them, that'll show you the graph of the line. So let's do that. Let's rewrite the equation, negative 2x plus 4y equals 8. And then in this equation on the left, let's scratch out the y. And in the equation on the right, let's scratch out the x. Now we're going to solve for the x and y. So you can divide both sides of this first equation by -2. And x is going to be equal to -4. And then in this right equation, if you divide both sides by 4, then your y is equal to 2. Those are the 2 points where that line hits the x and y axis. So your quiz and your study guide is multiple choice. You would find the graph that hits x at -4 and y at 2. Or if you did have to graph it, it would just look like this. Let's see, x is an 1 and 2. So here's your xy. All right, here's, let's say this is 1, 2, 3. Let's say this is -4. Here's +2 on the y-axis. If you were to plot those points, and then just put a line through them. There's the graph of that original equation. Y'all good with that? Okay. You will be asked to write an equation in point-slope form. And first of all, you're just going to be given 2 points. So if we got to write an equation in point-slope form, remember point-slope form is y minus your y sub 1 equals m times x minus your x sub 1. So if you're given a couple of points, 3, -4, -5, -5, 9. When you write an equation in point-slope form, you've already got a point. You've got 2 points. So you need the slope. So the first thing you do is you find the slope of this line. So your m is equal to 9 minus -4 divided by -5 minus 3. And 9 minus -4 would be keep, change. So what's that? 13. -5 minus 3 is -8. So your slope would be -13 over 8. So now I'm going to use the first point, and I'm going to write an equation in point-slope form. So I'm going to go y, the letter y. Now, it's y minus your y sub 1. Another way to read that is y and the opposite of y sub 1. So here's your y sub 1. So we go the opposite of -4. So we go y plus 4 equals. Then the slope. negative 13 over 8, left parenthesis, and the letter x. And then the opposite of your x sub 1. And here's your x sub 1. So we go minus 3. And that's our line in point slope form. Next, you're going to be asked to, what is the equation of the given line in standard form? So, write an equation in standard form. With integer coefficients. Yesterday we covered, you had some fractions in your equation, and we said that when you got a fraction in there, you multiply through by whatever's in the denominator, that will turn everything into a whole number. And today we got some decimals, so we got an equation that says y is equal to negative 0.2x plus 4.4. So remember standard form from yesterday. That's ax plus by is equal to c. Ax plus by is equal to c. The equation that you're given is in slope-intercept form. So we need to make it look like standard form. So we add 0.2x to each side. Now on this left-hand side, we've got a 0.2x, we've got plus a y equals a 4.4. Now, do you see how these decimals are in tenths? There's just one place to the right of the decimal. Since there's just one place to the right of the decimal, and we need to turn these into integers, we're going to multiply everything by 10. Multiply everything by 10. So we take everything on the left side, we multiply it by 10, and we take everything on the right side, and we multiply it by 10. 10 is going to get rid of those decimals. Multiplying by 10 is going to get rid of that tenths position. So 10 times 0.2x is 2x, plus 10 times y is 10y, equals, your 4.4 times 10 is 44. Well, all of these decimals were to the nearest tenth. All right? You got one number to the right of the decimal, right? One number to the right of the decimal. So if you multiply by 10, that's the same thing as moving the decimal to the right one place. So that turns them into whole numbers. If your equation had numbers that were to the nearest hundredth, what would you multiply by? 100. Because then you can just move all your decimals to the right two places. All right, and then you're going to have 3 word problems. The format of the word problems are all the same, okay? And you're going to be asked to write a linear write a linear model. Write a linear model The first problem is find a linear equation that models the relationship between cost and distance. The second one, write a linear equation to model the relationship between weight of strawberries and time. And then they ask you how many pounds of strawberries can be processed in 11 hours. So you're going to write this equation first, and then you're going to substitute the number that they give you into the equation to answer the question. So it's a two-part question. But here's how you're going to solve all of the problems. All right? In this one problem, it tells you that a cannery, and I'm going to change the numbers, processes. Let's say they process 1,400 pounds of strawberries in 4 hours. They also process 2,300 pounds in let's go with 6.5 hours. Write a linear model and determine pounds in, let's say, 10 hours. Okay? So for these three problems, you're going to do them all the same way. What you're given in this problem is you're given an x value and a y value. You're given 2 points. Okay? You're given 1 point that's in 4 hours. All right? Look, in 4 hours, they process 1,400 pounds. In 6.5 hours, they process 2,300 pounds. So what you need to do is write a model and then figure out the 11 hours. Wait, how many hours did I say? 10 hours. Okay? So what you're going to do is in 10 hours, they process. That's part of the question. So they're giving you 2 points. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the slope of the line that the 2 points would sit on if you graphed them. So your m in this case is going to be equal to 2,300 minus 1,400. And then that's divided by 6.5 minus 4. So 2,300 minus 1,400, 900, divided by 6.5 minus 4 is 2.5. And 900 divided by 2.5 is 360. That worked out nice. So now you have a point, okay? If you take, you have a slope. And if you take the first point and the slope, and you write an equation in point-slope form. So we're going to go y minus, or y sub 1, which is 1,400, equals the slope times x minus your x sub 1, which is 4. Then we're going to distribute this 360 on the right. So we get y minus 1400 equals 360x minus 360 times 4. It's 1440. If we add 1400 to each side, then y is equal to 360x, and you got 1440, so that's going to be, what's that, 1440, or I'm sorry, 1440 negative plus 1400. Yes?
Isn't that supposed to be like 1404 since that's a 4? Oh,
Isn't,
wait, no, never mind. I saw her multiplying. I was thinking addition.
all right. So this is a negative 40 right here. We wrote it in point slope form. We distributed, put it in slope-intercept form. Here is your linear model that they're asking for. There's your linear model. Now, we did everything in the form of x and y. All right? But our x values really in this problem represented time. Okay? This was time. Come on, marker. This was time. This was pounds of strawberries, all right? And I think they use S in the problem. So when you write your equation, you're going to replace, if I can get my eraser to work. There it is, maybe. One more time. Rewrite that equation down there and replace the x with a t and the y with an s, because in the problem that you're going to have on your study guide, the pounds of strawberries are represented by an s. So here's an s. Just understand that your equation would look like s equals 360 t minus 40. What would go next to the 10 is now you take your 10 hours and you substitute it into this equation where the t is. So your s for over here, your s is going to be equal to 360 times 10 minus 40. So that would be 3,600 minus 40. So your S at 10 hours would be 3,560. So the second part of the question, 3,560. So here's the linear model down here. Here's the second part of the question right here. The amount of strawberries that could be canned in 10 hours. Good? Questions? Okay, I'm going to end the Zoom meeting. Your study guide is on the Focus webpage under resources, and that's where your quiz will be tomorrow. After you finish your quiz tomorrow, you're going to take the you're going to transfer your answers to the focus answer sheet and make sure you hit submit. And if you have any questions, email me. Otherwise, I'm going to close this meeting.